Tashdali to everyone, and welcome to the Dharma vocabulary class. And before we begin, so those of you who have joined us uh, for the Dharma vocabulary class, as well as for the grammar class, uh, all the materials are available in the channel for the Telegram, and because of the functions that we're able to carry out with the Telegram, we'll try to keep most of the channels in the Telegram for the future classes also, meaning that most of the classes will have the materials in the Telegram. So therefore, everyone can access this. Other than that, those who are not, so for those who would, if you would think that they would benefit from the material, those who are not in the class, if you would want to share it, it's also available on YouTube, so you can share the YouTube link to them so that they can watch. So for today, I have written this one verse to in praise or homage to Mother Pragya Paramita as a symbolism of auspiciousness. So I will read it once. I've already written the translation in below this, so you can also check the translation with the verse. So Namo Sarvagyana. Which means I pay homage to the omniscient one. Also, sometimes Sarvagyana is understood in two ways. One, the omniscient one, or sometimes it's also understood as the one who possesses the knowledge of everything. So Sarva, which means the entirety. Jnana could be understood as the knowledge, or it could be understood as the consciousness or the mind. So we have the term Sarvagyana, which could be understood in both of these ways. So Namo Sarvagyana. Okay, so the verse that I have written is thus, so I will recite it. So I hope that the voice is quite clear. But I will also do a recording of this. Recording of each of the verse that I'm sharing here will be done so that it would be a clearer audio. Kartso hese rabri tongso kunzo che nelu shirab nime heki rabdu chum to sumsangi chum dente nam drezema kewe yumchen shabki pemur chatsello. So what does this mean? So Kartso means the cluster of stars. So in the night sky, we see thousands and thousands of stars. So this cluster of stars. So it means that the conceptual phenomena, the conventional reality and the conceptual phenomena are like the twinkling lights of the night sky. Though there are countless conceptual phenomena that gives us the idea of the conceptual reality, we have thousands and thousands in numeration, in types, just like the twinkling stars in the night sky. But but these lights, which are the twinkling of the stars, are overwhelmed by one solar rays. So it's overwhelmed by one light that comes from the sun, which here is taken as an example for the non-conceptualized truth, the ultimate reality. So just a single reality, which is of the non-conceptualized truth, the wisdom pertaining emptiness. This entire existence, which is a system of conventional reality. So I I'm unable to recall the exact text, but there's this line which states "Jigden trapo kunzu malachi," which means the the conceptual reality, the conceptual reality which is which is of which the conceptual reality which is of the system of terminology. So, and the terminology we are referring right now as the terminology of the worldly language. So there we see that that kind of reality, which is the conceptualized, which is the conventional reality, is like the twinkling of thousands and millions of stars, which by just a single light of the sun is overwhelmed. And so we take that as an example to the light of, so we take that as an example for the non-conceptualized truth. Tusum Sange Chomden Denam Trilzema, the one who liberated the Buddhas of three times. So without which even the Buddhas of three times were not able to attain enlightenment. I I prostrate to your lotus feet, O great mother. So with this four lines, so we call it, in Tibetan we call it Sigjechik, which means it's a set of four lines. In Hindi we call it shlok or shlok, which is a verse. So in English we call it verse. So with this words of auspiciousness, let us begin today's portion of the Heart Sutra. So yesterday, last class, we were discussing the introductory line where it is stated that in the together with the sangha of the sangha of the Mahasangha, which Samghika, which is one of the schools that was during the time of Buddha, that the sanghas, the bhikshus, and the bodhisattvas, along with them, Buddha was sitting at the top of the vulture's peak in a deep and profound meditative absorption on the non-conceptualized reality or truth or wisdom pertaining emptiness. So I will begin with today's portion. So today's portion is a dialogue between Avalokiteśvara and Śāriputra, and in which Avalokiteśvara greatly explains the manner of contemplation on the five aggregates being empty of nature. So there are great commentaries and great commentaries written on this, and great teachings given on this particular portion. So I would encourage every one of you to go and check those. So here we're going to talk about the terms which are important in this portion. So the words that are important and which comes frequently. So the first one, so yang te. Yang is a continuative particle. So I will be writing as I'm speaking in this class. So those things which are written are not in the file, but the thing is that I'm going to write in this exact file. And what this will do is that I will be able to send another file, which is the PDF after this is done, which will contain everything. So extra information that I'm writing. So just to make it like a class that's more active for myself, what I did is that I'm planning to write as I'm speaking. So let me. Okay. So. So it is a. So let me begin by writing. So it is a continuative particle. So what do we mean by continuative particles? So continuative particle are it's a continuative particle in a usage. So we call it a continuative particle as a usage. But the particle itself is called the ornamental and conclusive particle. It is in the it is one of the usage of this particle, which makes it a continuative particle as a usage. So what it does is that young is a word that means again, meaning and then or and then or upon that. So therefore, there is a continuation of an action that is happening on an action which is already happening, or there is a statement which is given, which is a statement related to something that was said before, or in context to something that's before. So yang is one of those particles known as gendu, gen meaning the ornamental, and du, which means the conclusive. So ornamental and conclusive particle. So Teetse means at that time. So these words I have not included them in this table of terminology because these are words that are used in normal Tibetan day-to-day life conversation. So Teetse means at that time. So again at that time or upon that on that time. And when we are saying at that time, we are referring to the time when Buddha was in the deep contemplation on the non-conceptualized wisdom. So te, which is a pronoun, te is a pronoun. So since it's a pronoun, it should be something that refers to something that was stated already, because that is the very function of a pronoun. It is used in order to it is used in order to be used in place of a repeating noun. So as a referential. So as a referential, something that takes a reference from a former statement. So we understand that here we are talking about this particular pronoun. So this pronoun is referring to that time, at that time, or at that time. And when we're talking about that time, we are referring to the time when Buddha was in the great meditative absorption. So this is the explanation of that. So at that time, again, at that time, Chengju Sempa, we already talked about it. Chengju Sempa is Bodhisattva. Chang by itself means to wash away. What do we understand to wash away or purify is the false and the negative and the false of the body, speech, and mind. And chup means to accumulate, to accumulate and achieve the knowledge and the qualities of a Buddha. So to wash away the stains, the faults of the body, speech, and mind. And in place of this, to acquire, to accumulate within, to achieve the knowledge and the qualities of Buddha. So Chang Chup. Sim means a mind, that type of mindset, that type of mind. Pa means mitre or a hero. And we talked about it. We call it Pa because a mitre, we call a bodhisattva a mitre because a bodhisattva is someone that has the intention of achieving the highest liberation or the highest form of joyfulness or blissfulness, or to attain enlightenment, not only for themselves but for the sake of all the mother sentient beings. So that is the reason why Bodhisattva is also referred to as the hero, And then another terminology that we discussed was that bodhisattvas are also called the son of the victorious one, and that is because all the Buddhas of three times, definitely they don't have a bias against anyone, but still what they do is that they have a great admiration for the bodhisattvas. And so last time I also told every one of you that if you want to read more and understand more on that basis, you can check the Madhyamika Avatara. It's the chapter 1, first verse, and then explanation to that first verse, where Chandrakirti is stating the verse where he is praising the three types of compassion. And in that verse itself, it follows how the Bodhisattva is the seed of Buddha, and that how Buddha of three times admire them greatly. So therefore, if any one of you are interested, please read the first few pages, from the first chapter, first verse of Madhyamika Avatara, and then similarly you'll find more information in the self commentary of Madhyamika Avatara by Chandrakirti, and then a commentary by Lama Tsongkhapa, illuminating the intent. First chapter, first verse. You can read 2 or 3 pages in which you'll see, and then the reference are not only given by the treatise. There are reference to this given from Sutra, such as the Sutra of the Great Mother and the Dasabhumi. So those who are interested, please check that. Okay, so here it says, again at that time, Chanju Sempa Chimpo means, so it talks about the Mahasattva. So Maha means great, and Sattva means mind, the intention. So it talks about the intention, like we said. So we also talk about 3 types of individuals, 3 types of mindset. The mindset of those who are only interested or only willing to practice in order to attain a higher rebirth. Second, those who are practicing for liberation, but for self, and those who are practicing to liberate oneself and other. So, in that context, we have the smaller mindset, the medium mindset, and then the great mindset. So Mahasattva. So the very word is Mahasattva, the great mind, or Sempa Chempo. And you see that in both these cases, we have the word Pa. Therefore, we are referring to the Bodhisattva, the hero and the mitre. Okay, Pakpa refers to, normally when I think we already talked about this, Pakpa Arya, which refers to either noble or virtuous, or someone that is great, who has a great proficiency in something, in certain type of thing, such that no one can surpass that particular individual in that particular field. So that is Pakpa. Sometimes also quality given to inanimate things, such as the text of Pragyaparamita, which is also understood as the Pawa Yumchemu, which is the noble, the noble text of the Great Mother. So therefore, it can also be associated with intangible things like the text and the inanimate things like the text, and the animate things like the Bodhisattva, the practitioner. So therefore, Pakpa. And then when we say Pakpa, we say that someone who has attained a certain type of proficiency in something. And when we are talking about proficiency, we must understand that those proficiency in those proficiency. Here we talk about proficiency in the understanding of view. Those who have the transcendental view, those are known as the noble ones, the Phagpa. So this should not be mistaken by the word noble, which talks about, in a way, in a context, sometimes also misunderstood as the word aristocracy, the noble as an aristocracy. So this is not something that is being spoken here. Here, the merits, it's due to the merits, it's due to the attainment of a transcendental view that the particular being becomes a proficient being, a wise being, a being that has a view which is transcendental, which is higher than a normal view. So therefore, Phagpa. Generously, Wangchu is so here we have it, the word. So Phagpa generously Wangchu. So the translation, the Sanskrit translation, was taken from the text and referred to the text, which was arranged by Konze, who is a prominent scholar in the field of analyzing Pragya Paramita. So if you're interested in truly diving into the understanding of the text and the word of text even more deeper, I would like to recommend you his text and his translation. So, Bhagavad-Chenresi Wangchu Bhagawana Arya Avalokiteśvara. So, the noble Lord Avalokiteśvara. So, we are referring to one of the 8 near sons. So, we have 8 near sons of Buddha, in which we have Manjushri, we have Manjushri, we have Avalokiteśvara, and we have Vajrapani, and then Kshitigarbha, so on and so forth. So 4 near sons of the Buddha, in which one is the Arya Avalokiteśvara. So understand. I'm not going to elaborate too much on this fact, but just a small fact. In the context of the sutra, Avalokiteśvara is always addressed as Arya Avalokiteśvara, which is Bhagavad-Chenresi. But one must understand that in the context of the Vajrayana, Avalokiteśvara is considered to be a sacred deity, so already transcendent to enlightenment. So in the sutra, it has to do with the commitment that Avalokiteśvara took, which was that Avalokiteśvara said that I shall only attain enlightenment once every single sentient beings in the countless samsara with countless numbers, which are uncountable, attains enlightenment. So due to that commitment, it is in sutra always referred to as the Arya Avalokiteśvara, and the 8 sons of Buddha, all of them are Arya. So please understand that also. If in future, if you're referring to any of the 8 sons, in that context, we must understand that at that state it was Arya. They were all Arya and not Buddhas. Okay, so Arya Avalokiteśvara, Arya being the being noble in the sense of having transcendental view, which is the view that is due to the wisdom pertaining emptiness. So therefore, those beings are called noble beings. So Bhagavad-Chenresi Wangchu. So the noble Lord Avalokiteśvara. So this is the explanation for this. So at that time, the Avalokiteśvara Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, the great being, the Bodhisattva, the great mind, Śāriputra. So we already talked about Pragya Paramita. Shira means Pragya. She means Gya. which means jnana, which means consciousness or knowledge. Pra means something that is beyond that, something that is an excellent mind or excellent knowledge, which is the wisdom. Parul Tuchimba, we already talked about it. Paramita, we also talk about the two etymology of this, one being the paramita and then other one being paramita. So paramita and paramita, we already talked about this. So we have the word ta. Not actually, ta means to view. So it's to view something in particular perspective, to view or to analyze. So ta. Pungpo, we have the word pungpo means skanda. So all of the terms are from the Conce's arrangement of the Pragyaparamita in Sanskrit. So skanda, which means aggregates. So pungpo, same thing we have in the Chagyapumpodi, which is the Kritakutta Parvata. So pungpo means aggregates. In some translation, one which is the English translation of Pragyaparamita by Conze, I have noticed he used the word piles. So that is also a translation for pungpo. Here we are inclined towards the usage of the word aggregates. So skanda, which means aggregates. So pungpo. So when we say pungpo, it means aggregates. Pungpo nga, which means the 5 aggregates. Pancha skanda nga, which is pancha, which is also why we have the word pandit, who is someone that has mastery in 5, who have mastery in 5 out of the 10 major and minor sciences. So 5 major science and 5 minor science. So someone who has proficiency in the 5 of the major science and minor science is known as pandit. So the pan or panchas is 5. And then in Hindi we say panch. So that too. And then so also the other concept of panchayat also having panch. So pancha skanda means 5 aggregate. So we have the 5 aggregates, which according to so different Buddhist philosophy, we have different schools of the Buddhist philosophy, from Vibhashika to Prasangik Madhyamika, where all of them give all of them are distinguished on the principle understanding of the selflessness of self and selflessness of self and selflessness of phenomena. So Vibhashikas, they have in their principle, they talk about the 5 aggregates being the representative or characteristic bearer of the self. So Panchaskanda, 5 aggregates. So and then and we will visit each of these in the text, where Avalokiteśvara is saying that this each of these 5 aggregates are empty of intrinsic nature. Okay, so we see here Pumbunga, which means Panchaskanda. Theda means these two. Theda la yang, even these two. Rangshi means the nature, the very nature. So here we have the translation as Swabhava. Rangshi is Swabhava. So it means the nature. So here we see Thedalaya Rangshingi Tongba number Tau. So Rangshingi Tongba means empty of nature. So Swabhava is nature, when we talk about nature, what we are talking about is the nature of phenomena, whether it is of the nature of eternalism, being that it is something that exists independent, so independently existing, so intrinsically existing, meaning something that exists without depending on anything, so something that exists unitarily. So, we can also refer to the four greats. So the four seals, four seals of view. That is of the that is like a seal or a insignia or a sort of a filter that tells if someone is a Buddhist on the basis of their idea of the uh, view. So there we see that it states that so according to that we understand that if something is existing phenomena, it cannot be one, it cannot be independent, it cannot be eternal, meaning that it cannot be something that doesn't change. So therefore, here when we talk about nature, we talk about nature of being impermanent. So impermanence is also a nature of phenomena. Similarly, we have the eternalism is also a nature of phenomena. Permanence is also a nature of phenomena. Then we have the nihilism, which talks about things being things not existing at all, and that is also a nature of phenomena. So therefore, when we talk about Rangshi, we talk about the nature of the phenomena, Swabhava. So, see. Yes, we also talk about the nature, Swabhava, when we talk about the Buddha nature. I'm trying to recall that word for the Buddha nature, so I will just say it when I remember. So let us continue. So, therefore, Swabhava talks about the nature, Rangshi. So here it states, yang means these five aggregates are also. So, meaning that not even these five aggregates, because the reason why this was said is because you know that during the first discourse that Buddha gave was on the Four Noble Truths, and the the prime disciple were of the Vibhashika school, the five excellent students. So there we see that the idea that five aggregates are understood as the characteristic bearer of self, and therefore in this discourse, which is the second discourse, and I told you if you're very interested in this one, I mean Lalita Vistara Sutra, chapter 25 of the turning of Dharma wheel, and the conclusion. Please, if you have time, please read that. It's very inspiring and very wonderfully written. So in this, you will understand why the second, why was it so special when Buddha turned the Tathagata, Buddha turned the two extra or the two more wheel of dharma. So here it says Buddha Dhatu. So nature. So it's not Swabhava, it's Dhatu in here. But the concept of the nature being quite similar. So where was I? Yes. So if you are interested, please read the 25th chapter. Very wonderful. So where was I? So therefore, the reason why we are using yang, which means again or are also, because in the first discourse, it was somewhat understood that the five aggregates are the characteristic bearer of self. But now here, Buddha is saying that even those five aggregates are empty. of nature. So yang also understood as also. So should be also, should be understood as also too. So this should be understood as also too. So, but like I said, this is a particle. So never, never, ever designate a single meaning to this. It will become a hell for every one of you if you designate a single meaning to this, because it is going to be so complicated afterward. You're going to think like, oh, I thought that this meant this. I thought la meant two. Why is it now in? Why is it?
Аккуратно. Виталий, я сейчас сюда буду ставить, а ты передавай.
So that is the reason why.
Ложечки туда. Сейчас я еще чуть-чуть погрею.
So this is the reason why you can understand is that designating a single designating a meaning to a particle is something that's going to give you so much havoc at the end. So therefore, we must understood that the particle changes meaning according to context. In this context, it means here yang means also. So why we use also? Because in the first discourse, it was taught in a way that the five aggregates were understood as the characteristic bearer. But in this discourse, Buddha is saying that even those five aggregates are empty of intrinsic nature. That if you go and find the self within those five aggregates as a single unit, like each of the aggregates by themselves, you won't find them. As a combination of the units, you won't find that. So that is the reason why even these five aggregates, so why we use the word yang. So this is a specific clarification based on the context of the text. That is it. But the usage is according to grammar. Like I said, this class is more of a language class than a dharma class. But yes, why we're using yang is because of that very reason. So recompound word here. Here the recompound word has occurred, and the purpose of this is known as a recompound particle. We have 11 of these, depending on the suffix letter. So so this particular compound word is here to indicate that till this point we are done with a single narrative. Like this entire narration has ended to this point. So that is the purpose here. But it doesn't mean that recompound word are only capable of doing this, because then the recompound particle somewhat is like a punctuation, and then the particle becomes very boring. But the particle is the most interesting out of all the particles that exist in the Tibetan system of grammar, and you will understand it later when we talk about the exchange of dialogue between Śāriputra and Avalokiteśvara, where Avalokiteśvara talked about the four characteristics of emptiness by giving the teaching. So it starts from the line that follows here. It talks about form being empty, emptiness being form. So that particular four lines, in that we have the usage of the recompound word, but in a more interesting manner. But here the recompound word is used only in a manner to act as a punctuation, saying that till this point, the narrative is a single unit. Now, whatever is going to be spoken after this is going to be a different narration. So that is the purpose here at this very moment. The purpose of this particular particle here. Let me just highlight it so you can see it. So these type of particle are known as the recompound particle, and in Tibetan language we have 11 of them, depending on suffix letter. So different suffix letter will bring different recompound particle. And then along with this, so tene means and then sange give two. So along, so with someone with sitting along with Buddha, Seta Tempa. So Tsedatemba is something that we are going to talk here. Okay, so before that, let me talk a little bit about all of these words that comes as a package here. So this word that we have here, but we can break down into Rungshi, which means Swabhava, nature. Then we have Tongba, which means void or empty. So Tongba means void or empty, Shunya. And then we have Rungshinge Tongba, which means Swabhava Shunyam. So empty of nature, empty of intrinsic nature. So empty of nature means empty of any nature. So being of the independent. When we talk
Есть
about,
новый. Ты его пока так поставь.
so yes, so it's empty of nature. Swabhava Shunyam. So empty of intrinsic nature, empty of
Дальше.
independent nature. So Rangshi, which means Swabhava, nature, and Tongba means Shunya, which is the empty. So empty of nature, empty of intrinsic nature or innate nature. Okay, so then we have the word Tongba Ni, which is Shunyata, which means emptiness. Okay, so now we are here. Okay, then it's to Tsedatemba. So Tsedatemba is the word which here is translated as Atha Ayushman, which means venerable. So venerable, someone with whom which we consider to be we address with a great respect. So venerable, Atha Ayushman, Tsedatemba. So here we are referring to Śāriputra. So venerable Śāriputra. So Śāripu means Śāriputra. So Chanju Semba Chempo. So here we see that Chanju Semba Chempo, which is the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, So yes, so which is the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, the Avalokiteśvara. Meaning that he said thus. So Dike, we have already discussed the word Dike as thus, as this, in this manner. Meso, which means to speak in this manner. So we have the first word Rikipu, which is normally sometimes when with the translation, sometimes it's understood quite it's misunderstood in a way. So Rikipu, I have taken this definition, this translation. So some of the translations are in English are taken from the dictionary, and I would like to say which dictionary. So this son of enlightened family. This is from the glossary of 84,000. So this translation of Rikipu, which is the Kasha Chitta Kulaputra or Kulputra. So according to Hopkins, so this is the translation of Konze, but similar. So the translation is also done by Hopkins, in which he has translated this as Kulaputra. And the English translation, which I found to be most relevant in this point, is the son of enlightened family. So when we talk about enlightened family, we talk about the Buddha. So the Buddha, we're talking about Buddha. So son of enlightened family refers to the son of the Buddha, which we are referring to those, we're not only referring. So in this case, definitely we may argue, we may say that, oh, so last time you said that when we talk about the son of Buddha, are we actually referring to the Bodhisattvas? Yes, we're also referring to the Bodhisattva. So, but we're also referring not only to the Bodhisattva, but also to the Arahats. So here we talk about, though we use it as a son of enlightened family, in some translation also used as son of noble family, But this particular translation is sometimes misleading. According to my experience with some of the students I have in the past, they used to say that why particular word like noble is used here. When we say noble, do we refer to a noble family? But when we talk about noble family, do we mean an aristocrat? But in this case, it doesn't mean aristocrat. It means someone who has a transcendental view. Someone who has the transcendental view, the perfect view, the view of the wisdom pertaining emptiness. So these are known as the Kulaputras, or Kashchi Kulaputru in this, according to the translation of Konze. So therefore, we are referring to Bodhisattva, we are referring to Arahats who have attained the transcendental view here. So this is what Avalokiteśvara is referring to when he's saying to the Śāriputra, the Ayushman, Atha Ayushman Śāriputra, the Venerable Śāriputra. Khang Lala means for some who are willing to. So Lala is a word that means some. Shirogiparutuchimba means the transcendental wisdom. We already talked about it. And then Samu means deep and profound. We talked about this. It talks about the deep and profound. And it's also used in this. It's also used in the verse that was said by Buddha during right after attaining enlightenment, when he was searching the entire existence for the student, for the discourse of such wisdom that he has attained. So, in which he used the word sap, which means deep and profound. So, so that particular verse, in which he says, so I will read it in Tibetan. I'll just speak it in Tibetan. It is Śāriputra Tumache. So here I'm saying kola because it is in third person, so I'm referring to Buddha who has attained the wisdom. Buddha himself says, which means that I have attained this wonderful nectar-like teaching, which is deep and profound. But there is no one to whom I can give this teaching and will understand it. And so I shall go in retreat in deep forest without saying anything. And that is the time when Buddha stayed for 49 days without expounding any teaching after enlightenment. So the same word here, sap, which means deep. So teaching of Buddha is classified in deep and the hidden teaching of the Dasabhumi, the deep teaching of the Mother Pragya Paramita, of the wisdom pertaining emptiness. So the same deep and profound is sap. Samujapa means the understanding or analysis, the deep analysis of the wisdom pertaining emptiness. Durba means, Chepa means to practice. So here we have this word, Charaya Charamana. So here, Chepa means to behavior or conduct. In this particular context, it means the conduct of analyzing phenomena through the deep wisdom. And Chepa means Charamana, which means to practice. So how should one practice this behavior or this conduct of deep analyzing phenomena through the wisdom pertaining emptiness? So this is the question that Śāriputra was asking to Avalokiteśvara, Bodhisattva Mahasattva. So thus was said, and then Lapar means how should one learn or study such conduct of analyzing things in the deep wisdom, through the deep wisdom. Teke means like this, saying like this, just by like momentarily after saying this, Bodhisattva, Chanju Sempa, Bodhisattva, Sempa Chambu Mahasattva, Avalokiteśvara. So we already went through these words. Onju the temple, which is Atha Ayushman, meaning venerable. Sharitatepu, so Śāriputra to the Śāriputra. Tike Jeme, so thus was spoken. So Tike we already went through. So Sharipu, Rikipu, which is the which we have here, which is the Paschit Kulputru, and then Rikipumo, which is the Kula Duhita, which means the daughter of enlightened family. So also referring to Arahants or Bodhisattva, female here. Kanlala Shirabgi Paratu. So we already know Peshera Paratu, which is the Pragya Paramita. So those who are willing to learn how to adopt this conduct of analyzing things through deep wisdom should view things in this way. So number tawa, which means to view in this way, to be viewed in this way. So it is the word Namparta, which is translated by Gonze as Vyavalokayati, which means to be viewed or must be viewed in this manner. So that is the meaning of the word Vyavalokayati or Namparta. So Avalokiteśvara said to Atha Ayushman Śāriputra that things should be viewed in this way. And then he said, in the way that is Kumbungaboteda. So the 5 aggregates that itself, Panchaskanda, Kyang Rangshin Gitongba number Yang Taupa Jesupao. It should be viewed as empty of intrinsic nature. So the way it should be viewed, which is the which is said here, Vyavalokayati. So Vyavaloki. So it should be viewed in a way that the 5 aggregates itself. So by itself. So very wonderful. So now when we're here, I would like to recommend you the verse from the Precious Garland, which says that so it goes like this. So the actual verse is Kiwu Sami Chumai Meme Lumi Namkami Namshe Mina Kuminte Teleshembe Kiwu Pans. So it says that individual self is not it's not one of the elements. It's not one of the elements. So in this a great analysis on the idea of self as just an imputation. So this, since one must understand that texts like the Precious Garland, the Mula Madhyamika Karika, and Madhyamika Avatara, all of these strongly incline towards the philosophy of Prasangik Madhyamika. And so the core principle of Prasangik Madhyamika or Madhyamaka is the understanding of self being an being existing as mere imputation of name. A very subtle understanding of the conventional reality that self exists, but it exists only as a designation or imputation, mere imputation of the name. So therefore, all of these, even this discourse, talks greatly about that understanding. So if those of you who are interested, please check the 18th chapter of Mula Madhyamika Karika and the and the sixth chapter of Madhyamika Avatara, in which Chandakirti talks about the sixth ground. So sixth ground of accumulation, sixth round of meditation. So where he talks about in which he also talks about a subchapter in which he talks about the establishment of self and the distinguishing between the establishment of self, the philosophy, or establishing as a characteristic bearer of the self, and distinguishing the idea between the Prasangik Madhyamika and Swatantrika Madhyamika. So this is what's there, and so there you will also understand the establishment of selflessness by countering the arising of self from four extremes, which is from self, others, self and others, and without cause. So that particular portion of the chapter, if you're interested and you want to actually understand what this particular line talks about, this is the meaning of this particular line, and you can find it in both of these texts. And if you want more information, you can look at both the commentary of Mula Madhyamika Karika by Lama Tsongkhapa. That is the name of the commentary is Ocean of Wisdom. So there you can see, and then the commentary to Mula Madhyamika to Madhyamika Avatara by Lama Tsongkhapa, known as the Illuminating the Intent, in which you can learn more elaborately on these understanding. So this is it for today, I guess, when it comes for the words. And I will write a small piece on the continued particle on the group so that you can check. Yes, another small announcement, which is that, so this is more like a gentle or a humble request. So those of you who are here in the class, if you're able to, so this is just like something, if you're willing to do that, I would like you to record the Pragya Paramita in your own language and then send it to the class. So you can record it in English. Those who are from other places can record it in your own native language, and then you can post it in the channel. And I would very greatly appreciate that. That would be very, very wonderful. So the yes, and I'll also write so you meaning the name of the text, right? I'll write the name of the text in the group, and yes, and this is something that I will do. And what else? Yes, it would be greatly appreciated if you send the recording, and for that, what I will do, I have already recorded the Tibetan version, right? I will also record the Pragya Paramita in Hindi. So for me, I only know 3 languages, which is the Tibetan, English, and Hindi, to a level that I can actually read, write, and speak to a. Thank you. Thank you very much. That is a wonderful spirit, definitely, Petunia. And also, I would, yes, I would like to request everyone to send that recording, and I will listen to it. And definitely, you see, another thing that I do is that when I listen, I also try to recite it. And as bad it would, the pronunciation would be, I would still try to memorize it. So therefore, it would be a great help. So if you could, please record it in your native language and post it on the channel. And every one of the students, including me, I mean, mostly me, will appreciate it if you would do that. So, and then if also possible, please also send the PDF of each of those texts in your native language. Most wonderfully, if you have the transliteration in English. So that would be wonderful. And So this is the class for today. Recompound word we will visit in the next class again, because this is a very interesting, because recompound word, when it comes with the first grammatical case, it becomes a very different particle by itself, a very interesting particle. And then it starts depicting those more cool characteristic, Otherwise, when it's as a recompound particle, one will say that, oh, it's just like a punctuation and it's not even getting translated. So what is the use? And then all I could say is like, yes, by itself, it's that way and may not seem too exciting. But once we get to associate this with the first grammatical case, you will find that this is a whole different game, or it's a whole different concept. Then you will feel that first degree compound particles have a very wonderful characteristic, which we will talk tomorrow. So not tomorrow, sorry, next class. Okay, so before I read, so I have also written a small dedication here. So this I will do after every class to actually symbolize the auspiciousness, because this class is very auspicious. So therefore, I would like to express it the way I can, as much as possible. So the way I can is to write verse. So I will write verse to symbolize that auspiciousness. And we also see that some of the students are also working on the collection of the verse, and those who want the collection are also posted there. So that is very wonderful. So thank you very much, and please check those. And yes, and another thing that I have been saying last year so many times, make the group as active as possible, because this is going to be one of the facilities that is going to help you improve a lot. And then if you have questions relating, like today there was the question about the Buddha nature, things like this. If you have questions, you can directly send it in the channel, and like everyone can contribute answering this, and everyone can learn from this, which is wonderful. So remember, this class belongs to every one of you students. So make the best use of it, including the discussion as well as the channel. So therefore, the more you make it active, the more you use it, the more you will be able to gain from it, and more you can cultivate that sangha. You see, that group. So that community. So that is it from me as for announcement. Before I read the dedication, if anyone has question, please ask away. I can do only one question today. Very sorry for that. Yes, the King of Prayers. So we have the King of Prayers, Samanta Bhadra Prayers. Samanta Bhadra Prayer. I know the spelling would not be the most perfect. So it's the Samanta Bhadra's prayer, that is the King of Prayers. And in Tibetan, it's called. Let me write it here instead of writing in the chat. I don't know why I was writing in the chat. It's better to write it here. Everyone can see it, and then they get the file. So everyone also has it with them for a long, long time. So here, the Samanta Bhadra prayer, King of Prayers. In Tibetan, it's called Melamki Gelbo. So, but this Papa is referring both to the text as well as the prayer, because the prayer is considered to be the king of prayers. So definitely it is something that is transcendental, meaning something that is the best of the best. So this text also has power, but here it has the power for two reasons. One, for the text, the prayer itself being the prayers of prayers, the kings of all prayers. Other, because the prayer comes from the Bodhisattva Samantabhadra. So therefore, since it's called Samantabhadra prayer, it's called Arya Samantabhadra prayer. So it's translated as Phava Sangbucha Vimala. So this is an example. Okay, so you have this here. So it is here. You can view it later. And yes, so I guess this is it for today. And I will just recite this this verse, and then we will call it a day. Okay, so this is a dedication. So the difference between the verse that I wrote in the beginning, which is a homage or a praise, and the dedication is that now, because we sat here for an hour and we have accumulated wisdom, not wisdom, we have accumulated merits. It could be either the merits, it could be either of the two merits, but we have accumulated them. But now merits are just things that needs to be utilized. So the way to utilize it is to dedicate it to your highest aspiration, which is to attain Buddhahood. But then, even to be more courageous, and then to dedicate not only for self but for the entire sentient beings. So therefore, dedication is important. We're doing dedication, and for dedicate, difference between wishing and dedicating is that to dedicate, we must have a certain type of merit, whereas wishing is just like wishful thinking. We're just thinking it would be nice if it was like this. It would be nice if it was that. But dedication comes with the merits, because it utilizes the merits that one has accumulated in order to actualize one's dedication. So that's the difference. So this is a dedication. Okay, so I'll recite it. So Gyawadi draw simchen Tarbe lamla gashin chubarsho. Yinsen yesu lamla rabzene lama choki boban rabtosho. So in English it is, by the power of these merits accumulated, may all sentient beings follow the path of liberation with joyfulness. So not in a way that they're following the path and then they're feeling depressed each day because they're not achieving what they are aspiring for, but in a way that they're walking on the path of liberation and achieving all the wonderful blissfulness. So in a joyful manner, and not in a way that someone has commanded them, but something that they take voluntarily. So liberation with joyfulness, by most excellently striving on the path both day and night. So not only during the day but also during the night, may they attain. It's not again. So we had so much young. So I think that's the reason why we have so much. We have again here. So may they attain the most excellent state of Guru, because Guru is the highest state. It is indistinguishable with the Buddha when it comes to the concept of Vajrayana. So the state of Guru, which is the highest. We know that the word Guru is Lama, which has the first part, which means La, which was a word that was very prominent during the second language revolution. Instead of the word to, we used to use the word la. So therefore, Lama means a state which is highest, that no other state is higher than that. So may all sentient beings attain the state of Guru, the most excellent state of Guru. So this is the dedication, and then before that, I would also like to state a small statement, which is an apology. It's a sort of apology and confession. So I apologize to all the mother sentient beings for my inability to attain enlightenment, that the delay in attaining the enlightenment. May I be able to strive to this path day and night. And please, I apologize to all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of 10 direction, and all of the students here, and the great teachers, and all the sentient beings for my imperfect speech that I have used to explain this great and most wonderful teaching. That my limitation is this, but the teaching is so much greater than what I can provide in this particular moment. So therefore, I apologize for the imperfection and the incompetency of my speech and my existence, and that may I take that as a inspiration to not to be demotivated, but as an inspiration to move forward, and then may as soon as possible all of us attain the ultimate and the highest state of the Guru. Okay, so thank you everyone who have joined me today. There won't be any assignment to this. I told you it is voluntary. You can write sentence and send to me. You can recite and send the recording. And if you talk about exams, we can have a recitation exam. So reciting Heart Sutra in Tibetan at the end. But other than that, everything here is something that you have to do with your own willingness and your own dedication. I am here, I will be here, but upon that, your own dedication. So thank you very, very much for joining in. And finally, Namo Guru Pragya Paramitaye. I pay homage to my Guru Pragya Paramita, the Great Mother, and Sarva Mangalam, which means may all be auspicious. And thank you very much for joining in. And I will see some of you for the grammar class, I think, and I will see some of you for the next Dharma class. So thank you very much for joining in, and Tashi Dile to everyone.